Welcome, everyone. I'm Gail Singer, founder and president of Circle Lighting, and I'd like to thank everyone for joining us today. First, I'd like to introduce our moderator, Leslie Newsom Rascoe, and our guests, Brooke and Steve Giannetti. They'll be discussing all things design in their new book, Patina Homes. Leslie helped launch Veranda magazine with her legendary mother, Lisa Newsom. Legendary. Anybody who has had the pleasure of meeting your mother knows that this is true.
Thank you.
Veranda's founder and longtime editor-in-chief. She has held various editorial positions, including fine arts and decoration editor. 6 years ago, Leslie assumed the role of interiors editor of Milieu Magazine. She now serves as their design director, scouting interior design projects, producing articles, and moderating special events. Brooke and Steve are known for their artfully designed houses and unpretentious elegance. Brooke runs the interior design studio for their firm and is the author of the popular blog and Instagram Velvet and Linen. Steve is a renowned architect and has designed homes around the world for clients in nearly every architectural style. In 1994, Brooke and Steve founded Giannetti Home, a full-service architectural and interior design firm. Today, the Giannetti Home store is focused on offering the Giannetti clothing line as well as custom Giannetti home upholstery pieces, imported European antiques, and select home furnishings and visuals in the couple's signature patina style. The firm has been published in Veranda, the New York Times, Santa Barbara Magazine, C Magazine, Departures, and Lux Magazine, as well as several other national publications. In addition, the Giannettis have authored the books Patina Style, Patina Farm, and Patina Living. Their fourth book, Patina Home, was published in April of 2021. Brooke and Steve live on Patina Farm in Ojai, California, where I've just invited myself to, with their miniature pygmy goats, baby doll sheep, Highland cows, potbelly pigs, Sicilian donkeys, chickens, Shih Tzu pups, and Hector the house bunny. So before we get started, just to let you know, we'll leave some time for Q&A at the end. So feel free to submit questions in the panel at the bottom of the screen, and we'll do our best to respond to all of them. And for the first 50 lucky people who registered and attended today, we'll be gifting a copy of Patina Homes. So look for your copy soon. It is such a beautiful book. And now over to Leslie to get the conversation started. So enjoy, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Gail. And thank you, Circa, for lighting up the world with your extraordinary designs. I don't know what we would do without Circa as a resource. And on behalf of Milieu Magazine, I am so honored to be here. We are mailing our summer issue now, and it's not too late to subscribe. And to our dear friends and honored guests, Brooke and Steve Giannetti, you inspire us in everything you do, including your new book, Patina Homes. Patina Homes was a labor of love. It speaks to the love between two highly creative people and their shared passion for making dreams come true. I can't wait to dive into their magical spaces, but before we do, I'd like to talk a little about the inspiration and how the past informs the present. Steve, please tell us about this extraordinary place. What are we looking at here?
So this is a picture of my father and grandfather, probably from the 60s or the 50s, where it's my grandfather's ornamental plaster studio. And I grew up in a different studio than this, but it looks almost identical, doing plaster work, working with artisans, working in the classical language, meeting architects, and it really has informed pretty much everything I do.
Including the palette.
Including the palette, yeah. The sort of dusty colors, it's just, yeah.
And that's what I was, and how, you kind of answered that question. How has Giannetti Studio inspired you as an architect?
Yeah, there's this combination of industrial and modern and classical and craft and all these great materials that I just lived with. And I would work summers there as a kid, just pouring plaster molds and putting up ornamental plaster and working with architects and visiting the Capitol and visiting Monticello and doing restoration work. And
was it on, did you do molds for Monticello and in the cathedral? I think one time I remember you
well,
telling
we worked in the National Cathedral. So I took sculpting classes at the National Cathedrals from some of those stone sculptors there.
Wow.
You know, did all these cool little skulls and stuff. And then my dad designed or cast the corn cob. Jefferson did a corn cob Capitol.
Yeah.
You know, like an American Corinthian, which was made out of corn cobs, and they're there, and that was one of the things that came through the shop when I was little.
Well, that's so cool.
So it's just all this cool history. Really just informs everything about what I do today.
But I think even the idea of history being important comes from that. You're feeling that history of things and all that is
the story of things, because every piece of molding on that wall had a story. Yeah, this came from this house. This was from this guy, and every object it carried with it memories and has a story to tell. And so even the my grandfather made the seal of the United States of, he sculpted the seal in the upper right-hand corner. So there were all these cool stories, and you were always dealing with these great craftsmen. And I helped out this sculptor, when I was there when I was a kid. I just carry stuff up and down ladders for him. But you just have a real respect for people who make things.
Right, and you absorb it. And I love this picture. What is patina, and why is it so important to you both?
Well, it's the idea that things get better with age, and that as they carry with them this story. So this is a picture of artist smocks hanging on the door of a room where they dry the plaster in the back. So it's just, the guys would just hang these things up at the end of the day. And I just love the colors of the smocks. I just love that chalky color of the old wood on the wall, and that little bit of classical and modern and stuff all mashed together. And I think it was when we were doing Patina Style or something in the beginning, the first book, where you realize when you do a book, you realize, where did this all come from? And I just came across a couple of these pictures, and I said, oh, it's all right there. It's all right in that one picture. It's cool.
I love that. Well, on to Patina Farm. Patina Farm reflects two unique stories and one shared dream. Can you tell us briefly how Patina Farm came into existence? And both of you can pretty much answer almost all the questions, so just jump in.
Yeah, it is both of our histories. It's also about the history of Ojai, where the places we design always have a little bit of the history of the place where they are located as well. And so Ojai is the architecture in Ojai is a combination of a Mediterranean kind of design aesthetic, as well as kind of more of a farm feel. And that's how it kind of came together. And we moved here because we wanted a life that was more centered around nature. I mean, it came out of a love for nature and animals, and how living that type of life gave us peace and calm. And Patina Farm allowed us to have a place where we could create. And that calm and peace that we have here is what we need to be able to create for others. Yeah,
when all of us creatives have to protect that piece of ourselves, because if you're in the city and you're getting phone calls and you're in meetings and you're doing that, you lose that quiet, that spot where you can come up with cool ideas and make a breakthrough or make something cool. And so we built this place as a sanctuary to be able to create stuff, and as almost a calling card. We were saying
you can share it. Exactly. I mean, what better way to come visit you? It's the best calling card.
Yeah, it really has worked, because we had never done a house anything like it. And it was like, well, let's make this and see what happens. And it was it became, that's what it became.
Well, I want to start with this slide, and we have a lot of slides, so we're going to move along.
I know, we're chatting way too much.
No, we're not. No. But there's so much to see, and we're gonna see it all. I'm starting with this vignette because it embodies your design philosophy. How so?
You know, it's so funny because doesn't it kind of look like the pictures we saw of Steve's family studio? You know, it's very interesting.
And the palette.
Exactly. And that screen that's above kind of was the starting point of so much. You know, we discovered flea markets and kind of fell in love with finding unique old pieces that you know, this was a handmade screen. There's painting on it. There's embroidery on it. It's kind of aged over time. It has its own story that it brings to our homes. This is like the third home it's been in. And it has that palette to it as well. I mean, it really is patina style.
It also has the indoor outdoor. The screen is sort of a view into the garden. And then we have the trees and the plants inside the house, where we're always blending indoors and outdoors in everything we do.
Yes, and of course, all the collection of all the plaster.
The plaster, too.
But displayed, displayed just like it is in the shop, in a big kind of pile on the floor.
I love that. And I did want to mention palette and materials that flow through your house. How is it so distinctive? I mean, it really, I think they actually flow through all your homes, which we'll talk about in a minute, but let's talk about palette and materials.
So, I mean, I just sort of fell in love with the plaster. That was one of the inspirations from working in a plaster studio, is this plaster finish on the walls.
Mm-hmm.
And then the old beams are almost like the old scaffolding beams that used to show up in the shop. And then there's antique doors in the thing. You can see a little piece of the industrial window that just is a riff on the stuff in the shop. So, and then that Verdure tapestry in the background,
yes,
that really set the color palette for the rest of it. It's almost like a window into an imaginary landscape. And then
it's right there. Is it back there? Is it behind you right now?
Yeah, it's the one that's behind us. Yeah, this one might be.
This is actually a different one.
Oh, it is? Oh, okay.
Yeah, we've even flipped the room. That's that's a different part.
Yeah, things change quite a bit around here all the time. But you know, it's that idea of patina style. We always use kind of natural materials that age beautifully over time, the leathers, the kind of neutrals, and that connection to the indoor outdoor space. You know, the colors, we bring all those colors inside, and you know, you even see it with the boxwood inside and outside as well.
Speaking of, I did want you to talk about this dining room, where this dining room is situated in your house.
Yes, which is now what we're sitting in. Steve, a few months ago, flip-flopped the whole main living space. So our dining room, we have like a real flowy house. You know, it's just one big room, which is great. You know, and it all flows to the indoor and outdoor, and all the rooms flow together as well. And you know, the nice thing is we have a long table, which we use for all kinds of things. It's our dining room. It's also a place where we can do projects. We can have clients and do a whole meeting there. And it really is a lot more versatile.
Right. Yeah. Than just your standard. I mean, and where it's placed in the house, it's kind of a continuous. Outside is right there, so it's kind of a
you can open the doors up. You kind of walk in, and it's designed like an old house where the rooms are, you know, all the wings are 20 feet wide, and there's lights on two sides of every room, and it really is inspired by old masonry buildings from the area. But
like most of the houses we designed, there's that kind of balance between ancient and modern, you know?
Exactly.
Yes.
Well, what is a timeless home? And speaking of time, did you achieve it with Patina Farm?
Yeah, we think we did, because when people walk in, they can't tell when it was built.
Right. It looks like it's been there forever.
Yeah, and even all, you know, a lot of the houses that are even in this presentation were done like 10, 12 years ago. So we don't really, we try to not look at style, look at what's the new hot thing. We try to just develop it with kind of get an emotional connection to what we're trying to create, find and take people on an emotional journey through the place. And even this is our backyard at Patina Farm. So it's me down there taking care of the donkeys. But this was based on, what was it, George Washington's Mount Vernon. Yeah, kind of gentleman's farm at Mount Vernon.
Is everyone able to hear him a little bit? Hear him?
Oh.
Okay. Can you? Okay. Everything's okay.
Are we
Breaking up a little bit.
Yeah, Leslie, you're breaking up. Are we breaking up? Uh-oh.
Can you hear me now?
I can
Yeah.
hear you, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Uh-oh.
Can you guys hear us?
Whoop. Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you fine, yeah.
Okay.
Can you-
Okay, let's go on. Hopefully it'll be okay. So now we're to one of my favorites. Do you call it Provençal?
Yes. Yes.
I think it's us, or is it her?
I don't know.
I think it's me.
Okay.
Has two different visions of what they.
Uh-oh. What's going on? Leslie? Leslie?
Hear me?
Yeah. Is it us
Oh,
or is
gosh.
it? Is there anybody at Circa who can tell us, is it us or is it Leslie?
Me.
It's you? Okay.
So we can talk if you want until you figure it out.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, so this one was based on a client of the husband and the wife had a different vision for their life. She wanted a more traditional look and he had leaned a little more modern. So we were trying to figure out how to sort of mix a little bit of both. And we added in this indoor outdoor feeling that we do on all the houses. So it has a room in the middle that feels like an outdoor courtyard. And this is really the stair hall, but it's done to look like an outdoor courtyard.
Right, and we actually planted a tree in the basement, in a huge planter in the basement, and you can see it in this picture. And eventually, it'll grow up to what is the second floor or above in this, and just reinforce that kind of idea of this space as being an indoor-outdoor space.
And then it's a big wall of glass, like a big greenhouse on that far wall. And then
Right.
it connects to a really pretty outdoor garden in the outside. And then the
Yes.
walls in this place are stucco. So
And
they,
it's like the wall is green. I mean, it's just outside. I mean, that's brilliant right there.
yeah,
I
so
didn't
there's a big
notice
hedge
that.
outside. I mean,
Man,
you're
that's-
12 feet away from the property line.
That's
So
incredible.
you're just trying to kind of create this world. Yeah, there's the kind of her living room.
Yeah,
Which
so
I
there
thought was so great because you kind of gave them each. So this is hers, and then you have, I mean, not
Other
necessarily his,
spaces for him,
but a
yeah.
more casual version. Not
Yes.
version, but you know what I
And
mean.
this space, we kind of mix the his and hers feel. So there's a sliding glass wall there. You can see the door sticking out of 6
On either
inches
side.
on either side.
Right.
So this house, this family room connects to the outdoor porch, which connects to the outdoor garden. So you get this complete indoor outdoor connection.
And how important were these outdoor spaces? I mean, this is the dining room, but it connects to outdoors. Is that
Well,
right?
this is the breakfast
Right,
room.
I mean, I meant breakfast room. Yeah.
Yeah, this is the breakfast room. You know, the indoor outdoor spaces were really important. And especially during this last year, I mean, the flow was really great because they could continue to, like, this is their pool house. And because of the way they were able to open it up, they were still able to kind of have friends over and do
Right.
things
I mean,
like
this is the
that.
pool house and it's completely open.
Yes.
And I love the juxtaposition between the more formal and casual, but they still complement each other. You know?
Yeah, it's working with that same palette.
Exactly.
So it's all, you know, in here, so there's formal oak paneling inside the house
Right.
and then plank paneling outside. So we're just sort of mixing it up and using the same materials and then doing it at different proportions in different places.
I love that. It's almost like you get two different houses that flow together seamlessly, but you don't realize it. Okay,
Yeah.
we're on to Atherton, and I think your clients kind of wanted the essence of a traditional home, but to make it modern. And I'm going to kind of scroll through, and then we'll talk about it. I love this. So how did you take that traditional home essence and make it modern?
So there was an existing house on the site that was sort of falling apart, and it had design clues that we used in this house. But I would take a traditional double hung window that might be 3 feet by 6 feet in a normal house, or 2.5 by 5, and we made them 4 feet wide and 8 feet tall.
Wow.
So they go all the way to the floor, and the upper part lowers down, so the lower part becomes a handrail.
Oh my gosh.
And then we did these massive steel doors in the back, and then connected it all together with the right proportions, and then linked the inside to the outside.
Gosh.
Using the plants inside and the spaces outside, and just connected the whole thing in one kind of seamless indoor-outdoor room.
It's like a solarium. I mean, it's just, it also has that English feel, the English kind of solarium feel, at least this
Yeah,
one.
there's all these great kind of greenhouses. It's also, the whole house is surrounded by this sort of redwood grove. Which maybe sits on an acre in Atherton, but the land was so great that I needed the house to be part of the landscape.
Exactly.
So the landscape becomes like the tapestry on the wall.
Exactly. Look, it looks the same colors are there. And then, and for our Circa family and light lovers, please tell us about these light fixtures.
Well, we found those lights at a place called The Beautiful Mess, and they have a wonderful history. They were the tennis lights for Elizabeth Taylor's tennis court, and this particular family actually had a history with Elizabeth Taylor, so they just loved that. Not only were these beautiful lights, and they have this great old patina that they brought as a juxtaposition to this all white kitchen, but that they had a connection to their history.
Yeah, like a patina story to tell.
Exactly.
Well, I love that. I had to put that. And then finally, I chose this slide because it shows that actually a family lives here. Human and furry people live here. And your houses are truly family homes.
Yes,
and now we're going
all family members.
Lots of furry people.
Lots of furry, especially at yours. And now we're going to move to the ocean. How was this, and tell us where it is, how was this home designed to take advantage of the spectacular view?
So this is in a place called St. Malo, and it's in Oceanside. And it was built in the 1920s, and it looks like a Normandy village.
And it has to. You've had to keep it looking.
You have to have
I
that
actually
style.
don't have sorry, I don't have a slide of that, but go ahead.
Yeah, but it's incredible. It's this beautiful Normandy village right on the California coast. And so we toured a bunch of the houses. I sketched, I photographed, I did all this stuff. And then I found the ones that had, like, how could I have the entire ocean side all French doors? So it's almost like a glassed in porch.
Exactly.
And then it had these
all directed to the ocean.
And everything's directed to the ocean. And this thing works like there's a dining room, living room, and then the master bedrooms all on the ground floor, all right on the ocean. So it can work like a very small, compact house, just when it's them.
Right, exactly.
Or change as it goes. But it's, again, this very simple palette, where it all connects together. And then this is a little bunk room up in the top. We picked up some of the nautical stuff. There's a bunch of really cool little spaces in this thing.
Well, I liked what you said, that the couple can be by themselves in the home, or you can open it up for the kids and grandkids, and it doesn't feel like, that you're missing anything. They've got it all.
It had a very cool, a lot of the houses have these courtyards in the middle, and there's a stairway in the courtyard that goes to the second floor bedrooms.
Oh, cool.
So it's
like
really
a Juliet suite kind of thing.
Like a Juliet suite. Yeah. So it acts like two separate houses, and it's perfect for this kind of lifestyle.
Close it off, what have you. And speaking of wonderful houses, this is one of my favorites. This is in Maine. And this house looks like it's been on the property for decades. So everybody take a look at this. And then, so this is a house that they built, but inside the spaces are open and modern. How did you achieve this fresh take on a traditional Maine shingle?
So the owner that we built it for was collected wooden boats. And he, this craftsmanship of the wooden boats and the oak walls and all that sort of intricate craftsmanship really inspired the way all that entry hall and all that stuff was designed. So we sort of riffed on that. That feels like, all the boat paneling stuff, even that little handrail is covered in leather.
Yes.
And
Oh,
stitch,
right. Yes. Yes.
Going all the way up. But then I really tried to simplify the shell of the space, and then it concentrates on the view. It's got the most amazing view of a bay in this little Maine town. And then there it is, looking out. And then we did the oak beams, we did the oak floors, we connected the inside to the outside. We actually designed most of the upholstered furniture in the house, so we could work with all the antiques that they had collected and made it like a little miniature history of Maine, in the place. So,
but it's fresh and it doesn't feel. It feels like Maine, but it feels. It just feels great. I just love this. I don't know how to.
It's like all the other houses in that they always tell, it's a combination of the history of the people as well as the location. And I think Steve did a really great job of that here.
And you used all local craftsmen.
All local craftsmen, all local materials. The guys weren't so sure how it was going to come out because they said, "Wow, we never done anything like this before." But they ended up really liking it. So it was fun to work with these great craftsmen on this one.
And this house or compound was built to be shared. How did you connect the main house to the guest house?
So the guest house
That's the guest house, right?
The guest house on the right is the guest house. This is a view from the main house. It's that's a porch, and there's a screen that drops down in that little slot you can see in the columns. So in a couple of months of the year, that thing can turn into a screen porch. But this guest house was just sort of done like an old barn, and they're connected. You can see them from each other. And it's all post and beam, and you can they both focus towards that bay view. And they're all.
Sorry, you go ahead.
And and then it's all shingled on the outside and has the great cupola in the middle. It's a perfect little 2-bedroom cottage in there.
And I think I read that you put those stones kind of to relate to it. Is that right?
We did all these, the landscaper did all these great big ledge stones and all this stuff. So it felt like it sort of been there forever. But it was just a big old field when we got there.
But he did use all the local stone and so it felt like it had been there.
You have to sort of make up a story to ground the house in nature.
Well, you were very successful. And that's in the guest house.
Yeah, this is the guest house. It's a really cool little house.
I love it.
All done true post and beam construction.
And that was actually in Milieu, I believe.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. And this is Cliff House. Wait, let me see. Is that right? Yes. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
This Malibu house was designed for a client who wanted to experience the beach in a new way. What is the style of this home, and tell us about the golden section? So
this house is a story that I just made up because there was nothing on the site. And I wanted it to feel like an Italian factory that had been converted but was on the coast of the Riviera.
But the other thing also, it was also, you wanted to do something, and so did the owner, wanted to do something completely different from Steve had done a house for him on the beach prior to this one, which was completely different.
Yeah, if you ever seen the show Frankie, Grace and Frankie?
Yes.
That was his house.
Oh my God, that's so cool.
So that's a real house that they just copied for the set. But he lived there and then moved here. And then what we did is the golden section, if you look at those little window panes on the front, they're all in this shape that's roughly 3 by 5. The sort of proportion of 3 by 5, and that's pretty close to the golden section and
the proportion of beauty.
And it shows up everywhere in this house. Because it's so simple, the house, that you really are only working with materials in proportion. So the windows on the giant sliding doors on the back are 11 and something feet tall. They have the same proportion as the windows on the front of the house.
Look at that.
And
Oh my-
and then they just completely pocket into the wall. So the house becomes becomes like a big porch.
you're just like on the ocean. I mean,
You are on the ocean. Yeah, you're up probably 50 feet or 100 feet above the ocean in this spot. But
did I read that the front and the back have that same proportion, or is it?
yeah, they do. They're just at different scales.
Right.
So one of them's about 9 inches wide and another one's about 2 feet wide. The proportion. So it's just when you can see when you can jump scale, and it just changes it completely, but it visually ties it into the other world of
Look at
the
the
little
size of those windows. Oh my
Right.
Lord.
But there's something about us as humans that see that proportion as being beautiful. It's very pleasing to us. It's just in our DNA.
Is it from the Renaissance or something?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's from the
Probably,
Greeks. Yeah,
yeah.
from the ancient
Oh.
Greeks. It's been around forever. It's a really cool rabbit hole to go down on YouTube.
Okay, well, I'm gonna have
Because
to,
everything
go
follows
down that hole tonight.
nature and leaves and trees and are all built on that proportion. So everything works to that. It's the mathematics of beauty.
Real quick, what materials did you use in this house?
So this house is plaster and
Mhm.
oak and concrete.
Okay.
And it's almost identical materials to Patina Farm. It's just
It
put
looks
together
nothing
in a-
like it. I
It
mean,
looks nothing like it, but
Yeah.
all my houses use those same, almost all of them use those same materials.
Mhm.
Just, maybe I don't like a lot of samples around, but there's just something wonderful about that.
well, and speaking of something totally different, I'd like to know how this commission came about in Palm Desert.
So this was a house I'd done another house for this owner.
Mhm,
And he said he was going to do a modern house in the desert. And
mhm.
since I didn't do modern, he wanted to get some recommendations. So I gave him all the usual suspects,
Uh-huh.
and he went and interviewed all of them. And then he came back and he said, well, I interviewed all of them, but I want to hire you because I think you'd be able to make it cool and make it a warm, modern house.
He was just afraid it was going to be too cold.
He was afraid it was going to be too cold and
Yeah.
wouldn't have the warmth. And he said, I
Right.
know you can do warmth. I got a feeling you can do modern.
Right.
Why don't you, I want you to do it. And so we just, I went back through my sketchbooks and I found this sketch. This was a Villa La Roche-Jeanneret by Corbusier, done probably in the 30s or something. And it had this indoor-outdoor flying bridge. You couldn't tell whether this was a courtyard or outside. And I'd sat in this room in 1984 and sketched it.
Wow.
And it took me, what is it now? 40 years, 35 years to get good enough to actually pull it off.
So you saved the sketch. You keep sketchbooks that you save.
Yeah, I had the sketchbook, and I was just kind of going.
Did you remember doing this?
I remembered it. Yeah, when you sketch stuff, it's interesting. When you take a photograph, and there's a good chance you're going to forget it. But if you sketch it, you like engrave it in the back of your brain. So, and you actually spend longer sketching. So I kind of went. I had it in my head, and I went back and I looked at it in the sketchbooks, and I said, okay, this is cool. I'll do a bunch of these tricks because it's the feeling that I wanted. And so you can see the kind of,
here it is,
the bridge flying across this sort of weightless stair that kind of cantilevers into the space.
But it was interesting that even in 1984, you were asking yourself the question, is it possible to make this out of warm natural materials?
Yeah. That's the note in the side of the sketch. Can I do it?
Where up there?
Is it possible to do a modern space with natural materials like plaster and old wood? I mean, so it is. It just took a while to get it there.
Right. That is just remarkable. I just love that. And you talk about designing a home that allows the landscape to pass through. What do you mean by that?
Well, I mean, you can see when you take the glass from floor to ceiling and you connect it, your eye goes right to the landscape.
Yep.
You're just on a porch. And this was Anna Busta did the interiors on this thing. And
Beautiful.
Just the sense of just connecting that indoor and outdoor. And there's a wall of glass there you can see on the left. And then there's a porch right outside of it.
Right.
but the wall of glass just goes away and the room and the porch all connect together.
You're just living in the landscape. Well, it was.
You're just living in the landscape because they're only down there when the weather's nice.
Wow.
And they'll go into that house and they'll open up all the doors and they'll just live there like it's indoor, outdoor space. I was looking at old Mies van der Rohe, like the Barcelona Pavilion and
Mhm.
all these kinds of, because when he said do something modern, I was like, okay, Neutra, Schindler.
How great for
Mies.
you, though. I mean, what
Yeah,
a great.
it's like
And
what
the
could be the
art is
coolest stuff?
amazing. The art, the sculptures are amazing.
Yeah, he sent me down to place that sculpture. He flew me down and said, "Steve, where does I got to make sure this thing is looking right."
Oh my
So
God.
we would fly around or move around the site and angle it, and I'd use my iPad and draw over top and say, "Hey, we got to spin it and turn it this way,"
How
just to get
fun.
the balance of everything. It was really cool.
Well, now we're to something completely different. Please tell us about this special property, where it is, and a little bit about the history of this place.
Oh gosh, this property is in Connecticut, and it is a really special property because all the house is made up of different homes, different structures from different times in history. Going back, there's an ironmonger's house that's from like the 1600s.
That's the back left corner is from the
Yes.
1600s.
Wow.
And then going up through into the early 1800s.
Yeah, they were all houses that were going to be torn down, and this doctor collected them and brought them all in. It's in Connecticut. He just would bring them all onto his property, and he just kind of put them all together and made one big house out of them.
Well, it's incredible. I love the door. I'm going to scroll through the interiors and then we'll
Sure.
talk about it at the end. Let's just wait. Let me go a little slower than that. I just love.
So that's the 2-story living room. They call it the music room or the conservatory.
Which is so beautiful. So I'm gonna, this fabulous kitchen.
That's in the 1600s ironmonger's part. It's got the little original leaded glass from the 1600s in there.
How did you modernize the home while maintaining its historical significance?
We went back to our tried and true, like simplify the palette.
Mm-hmm.
Find a good theme.
When we first got to the house, our client said she loved the house, but it didn't really speak to her anymore of how it was decorated. Each room was in a different primary color, lots
Right.
of yellow, blue. So we knew we wanted to get the spaces to flow together, and palette is always one way that we do that. We also simplified. We took a lot of the stuff out. There was a lot of things that were covering all the beautiful architecture, and we wanted to really complement the architecture. We didn't want to hide it. We used more modern light fixtures, kind of cleaner, but not too modern that it felt out of place. So that was another way that we kind of modernized the spaces.
But the house was so good, and you
Beautiful.
couldn't see it amongst all the crazy decorating choices that had been made over the years.
Yes.
And so we just needed. I needed to save it and make it better.
You did. And tell us about this library real quick.
So this was a room they called the library, but of course it had no. When we got there, it had no bookshelves in it. So it had some of these beams, but that whole back wall of books weren't there.
So you
And I said,
added
well,
all that out of
I
old
added
wood.
all that. Yeah, we got all old timbers and old shelves and made this kind of wonderful library.
Doesn't
out of
it seem like it's been there forever? I mean,
Yeah,
That was the goal.
Yeah, that was the idea. And then this is furnished with all of our pieces of furniture, and you can see they're just real neutral.
neutral.
Because if you had like wild colors in the foreground, which is
No.
what they had before, you couldn't even see the room. Your brain just shuts off.
We really didn't want the sofa to be the focal point of the room.
No.
We really wanted those beams to be the focal point of the room, and the architecture is just so stunning.
And then
Well-
there's a magnificent 2-story fireplace right behind you
Yes.
on the other side. And it just is an incredible room.
Yeah.
Well, this was very successful. I mean, I was astounded at how you were able to do that in this house. Okay, on to another. I think this was called Wisteria, which I love.
Yes.
Oh yeah, you guys forgot about that.
Yes, exactly.
I forgot about it. I wondered why I like that so much. How did you alter? I'll scroll through. How did you alter this dark Santa Monica bungalow into a light-filled cottage? And how important is light into your? How does light play into your designs?
It's super important, and we enlarged a lot of this master bedroom or primary bedroom didn't have that big door going to the outside before. We just enlarged the connection to the indoor and outdoor. We lightened the colors in there. And that was another way we kind of lightened things up. But Steve is really good about balancing light.
To balance the light, you really have to, if you can get a window up near the ceiling, you can bounce the light off the ceiling, and it completely changes the room because it knocks the glare way down. If you look in a room, or if you can get light from two sides of a room,
Right.
it'll balance the light in the room.
Did
If
you
only
say
have a
up in the
window
ceiling? Did you say light?
If I get the windows higher,
Higher
closer to the ceiling, the light from the window will bounce off the ceiling.
Like
I love
even
that.
in this bedroom, the windows on either side of the bed, we enlarged too.
You can
to
see
it.
raise them
Yeah,
up and-
We raised them up, and then we took that window, we added the transom. There was just a little door in that wall. We added the transom above and opened it all up.
Wow.
But it's this, you really want to connect the house to the garden. This is a really tiny little house compared to all the other ones.
Right.
But, when we draw floor plans of houses, I always draw the gardens as part of the floor plan.
Right.
Because
it's part of it. It's
part of it. So you can't really design one without the other. It's not like there's some magical line that occurs right at the edge of the house. It all is one big house.
Well, I just adore this. And then I thought this was funny. How did you convince the husband of this Malibu renovation to give up his attachment to dark wood floors and beams and orange terracotta tiles?
When we design stuff, it's always about intention. Like, how do you want to feel when you enter a space? And he did love dark, but they also wanted to have this light, bright Malibu house. And so what we did was we brought him here to Patina Farm to show him how important palette is in how you feel emotionally. And the minute he walked onto our property, he got it. He said, I totally understand, do what you want. And so it was very convincing to be in our space and for me to explain how things work. I didn't really even need to explain it. He just felt it.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of Patina Farm. I mean,
if you build it, they will
come.
Yes.
Tell us about this heavenly bedroom. I love that chest. I want you to tell me about using.
Yeah, these are our the way we're always using old furniture in unique ways. So that's just a little drop leaf desk that's just wonderful.
Little antique Swedish.
And so this is just stuff we had in the store or picked up for and it's a nice little room. We made the windows and doors bigger. There were these two big dark beams on the ceiling, which we couldn't get rid of, so we just painted them white.
Right.
And it makes this sort of ethereal, quiet.
It's a haven. It's so, but I love using that Swedish desk as a side table. It's so functional, and you don't think about doing that.
Yeah,
we do that a lot.
We do use that trick a lot.
Yeah.
Just because you can close it up if you need to. Right. It's nice to have a little place to write.
In more room, and you could sit there. It's just brilliant. And I just thought this was the prettiest bedroom. I loved it. I had to. And now we're going to jump the pond. Talk about this magnificent chateau. I'll let you say where it is.
Yes, it's called Fontplegade. It's in the Bordeaux region of France. And these were clients that we had worked with. Actually, at the same time, we were doing a couple of homes for them. They own a couple of wineries. They wanted this to feel. They wanted it to feel like it was located in France, but they also wanted to have it be light and bright and happy and be a real family home. I know it looks large on the outside, but it actually is quite modest inside. I think because part of that actually is part of the winery. This again was something where there was a lot of color that was hiding the beautiful architecture, and we were just inspired by the grounds around us. We brought a lot of indoor outdoor into the space.
Yeah, we showed up and we, she said, we got to loosen this place up.
Yes.
We told the owner. And so I started grabbing things from the garden and just bringing them into the house.
And,
Well, look
and
at that.
even,
I mean,
even like replacing like silk draperies with natural linen draperies and
Right.
things like that, bringing in these beautiful trees and
For some reason, nobody in France had ever even heard of such a crazy
or
idea.
at least where we
Because you're from
were,
California, that's why.
yeah, they thought we were absolutely crazy, but we also love that she had this modern artwork
I love
too,
that.
which was wonderful to bring into this, chateau that was from the 1700s.
And
then we brought in this giant urn from the garden.
Yeah,
now, where'd you find that urn? Where'd you find
It was
the urn?
just in the garden. It was outside.
Are you
Yeah,
kidding?
And I said, yeah, this is
Oh.
so cool. We got to bring that in here. And she said, okay. And it had the guys picked them up and we brought it in. And she had this little tiny chair, I think for a grandchild or something.
Isn't that
And I had to put it
adorable?
right next to it because it made them both look crazy.
But that scale just kind of adds some whimsy to the space, I thought too.
Exactly.
It just took a little of the fanciness out of it.
Yes.
Well, it's sophisticated, but it is comfortable. And that, I mean, it's livable and you can't beat the setting, but it feels, I think you achieved it. It's comfortable and sophisticated.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, thanks. That was the idea.
And this is Malibu Colony House, which is so fabulous. What was the biggest challenge of this the challenge of this Malibu Colony project? How did you make it work?
Yeah, I think it's like a 35-foot wide lot. So the house is skinny. It's like a little tiny house. And so it's really that you're looking at the entire width of the house there.
Wow.
So it's basically one room wide. And the trick was, how do you take a place? So we basically took like the box of the house and made it all plaster. And pretty much everything we did inside that box, I made out of wood. So you could always feel the outside walls of the house as you were doing it.
It feels huge. I guess you used every single.
Oh yeah,
inch.
it's like a boat. But you can see everything that's not the outside wall is just done in wood.
Right.
And
It does feel like a boat.
It just feels like you're in this kind of fitted ship. And the floor and the walls are the same material. It all just kind of blends together. And then we would pour light in through all these kind of, we use translucent windows on the side to pour light in. And then there's a glass transom above that sliding door to allow light to flow. Those windows on the right are
Sandblasted.
they're sandblasted glass. They're 8 feet away from another house.
Oh my God. Oh, so you can't, wait, does that mean you can't see in it? No.
You can't see in it or out it. It's like sandblasted, like frosted glass.
But it gives a lot of light. So you have the
Yeah.
privacy.
Yeah, the light's amazing. And then you can see all these wood walls. So the doors integrate with the wood walls and it all feels like there's another outside wall's plaster, inside wall is wood.
Same materials for, that you're using in your own.
Only have one trick.
Yeah. Well, but the application is all different.
Yes,
and
always
it's
a different
remarkable.
trick.
It's like a miracle.
You're exposing all his secrets.
Oh, I've got to take notes. Well, the last slide I wanted to end on before the questions is this lovely shot from Patina Farm because it captures the Giannetti magic. Classic proportions, natural materials, a modern sensibility, earthy palette, and nature as muse.
Well, thank you.
Thanks. That piece to the left is just a giant sheet of glass.
Yes.
Well, I was wondering, it almost looks like there's nothing there, but nature is so important.
Yes.
I think, and I think that's why your spaces feel so calming and meditative. Because
It's really about mixing this modern and the old world with the intent of connecting you to the nature and calming you down. It's something we've been working on for a long time.
Well, I think you got it down and I can't wait to see everything else that you do. Okay, so now let's see. We have a little time for some questions that they've been fed to me and I hope I can make this work. Okay, are you guys ready for some questions from the audience?
Sure.
Oh my gosh, this type is small. You should see how big my type is for my script. It's like 20 font.
We can read that.
So I know you can. I'm just the best. So now I got to put on my nerdy glasses. Okay. This is from do I say the name? Maybe I don't. I don't know. I guess I don't. That would be, maybe that's bad. Would Steve and Brooke share the source of all the decoration of all these homes in Patina? Let me see. They mentioned that source in other books. Would Steve and Brooke share the source for all the decoration of all these homes in Patina Homes book? I would love that. They mentioned that source in their other books. Thank you. So it sounds like you do.
I'm sure there are some resources that we share. I try to share as many resources as possible. I do it on Instagram as well, you know, whenever I try to tag everybody and all that stuff. So we will continue to do that. Yes.
We'll do it more. We didn't do it as much in the book,
Right.
but there are, we do share when we post it in other places, we'll share more of that.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, let me see. I enjoy following the tours of Patina Farm shown on IGTV. Thank you. Please speak to the time you spend in pre-planning in relation to sunrise, sunset, moonrise, and set and seasonal light as it relates to your projects.
Well, Steve is really good at citing for those purposes. I mean, you always take those into consideration. Right?
Yeah, you need to, when you're designing something, it's best to think of yourself like a time traveler, where you're actually going to the future in different seasons and spending time there. So thinking, you really have to sort of transport yourself. What's this like in the wintertime in the morning? Where's the light coming from? Where is it going to be? And it's easier to do it as time travel and imagine it finished than it is to sort of like wind through some other way of doing it. Because you just want to think about the world that way. What's it like in a party? What's it like in the summer? How is it stay cool and warm? You know, where am I sitting around the fire? It's all these things.
Or where do you want to wake? What kind of light do you want when you wake up? Where do you want that bedroom? You know, do you want it on the east and have, you know, that kind of glowy light that comes up in the
usually want it on the east if you can do it.
Right.
There's a book called The Pattern Language that gives you all the clues. A good place to start for anybody
by Christopher Alexander.
Yeah, just buy it.
Yeah, it's a good book. It gives you a lot of hints on how to design a house. And a city for that matter.
Okay, next question. Can you please repeat the information about the videos on the mathematics of view? Thank you.
So what we're talking about is when you do, the golden section is a mathematical proportion. It's around 3 by 5. So it's like a size of a sheet of paper, proportions of that, give or take. And what happens is that shape occurs over and over again in nature, in trees and plants, and the way things grow, in humans, in everything in the world. And so because you're in the world and you're connected to this beauty of the natural world, you want your house to connect to the beauty of the natural world. And the best way to do that is get familiar with these proportional systems. The Greeks did it. That's why old houses look better than new houses, because they knew how to do that stuff.
Somehow along the way, we forgot all this stuff.
We forgot all this stuff.
Or they just don't consider it important anymore, so they just don't teach it.
So
do you think they do it more in Europe than they do here? I mean, I'm just curious, you know.
Well, they used to.
They used to. I'm not sure they do.
The new stuff is just as ugly as the stuff in the US is.
Right.
But
well, that's good. Misery loves company.
Yeah, but I mean, the good architects, they you know, they do it because the houses look better.
Yeah.
Okay, here's another one. Thank you for that answer. What color white paint do you use?
Most of our houses, we don't use a lot of paint. The
Plaster.
walls,
is that right?
Yes. Yeah, the walls in our house, it's a compound called, which one do we use now? It's, is it?
Diamond coat or top California?
Diamond coat.
Yeah, it's diamond coat.
It's called diamond coat, and you put it on the drywall, and it has kind of a luminescence. It kind of, you know, shimmers a little, not like a crystally shimmer, but it kind of catches the light, and it's not flat like a paint. It's more mottled. So we use that a lot. The closest color that we found to this is called, is Farrow and Ball Wevet, W-E-V-E-T. That was the closest color we've come to this, because it's kind of a cool white. It's a little bit cooler, not real warm. But if we do use paint colors, we do use Wevet. We also use Farrow and Ball Windborne White is another one that we like to use a lot. That one in Connecticut, we painted all the walls Windborne because it
warmed up the space. It makes it feel like it's sunshine.
Yeah, it makes
in a
it
house.
sunnier. It really, and kind of, yeah, just made it brighter in there.
Yeah, completely transformed the house.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. What is the average? Wait, let's do this one. What is the average? Okay, I think this means time. What is the average time it takes per project?
I mean, Patina Farm, we built in about a year. On the bigger houses, it can take 18 months or 2 years. Sometimes they'll take longer.
Yes, we get real close with our with our clients.
Yeah.
You know it all. I mean,
Yeah.
It's definitely delayed gratification.
Yeah, it takes a while to get these things done.
well, quality. I mean, it takes what it takes as long as it takes.
Yeah,
right?
that's kind of what the contractor. It sounds like a contractor here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
When are we done? Oh, it takes as long as it takes.
Yeah. Okay. And let's see. Your walls. This is a new question. Your walls are fairly spare. How does that impact your design style? What about clients with large art collections? That's a good question.
Yeah, I mean, we have a number of clients with big art collections, and the trickiest part I have is I'm always doing too many windows. So,
I know, which I love. Oh.
But I mean, we often will do if we do collections of paintings, we'll treat them like one painting. There's shots in the book of 10 paintings making one big element.
Also, if our clients do have paintings, so we do these great models, these 3D models, and if they actually have the paintings, we can take pictures of them, put them in the model, find places for everything.
Wow.
If they have certain spaces where they know that they want to put artwork, we definitely accommodate that. It's just more of a challenge for him to figure out how to get that balance of light.
Yeah. Especially, I mean, it's hard if you don't like their art, but.
Yeah, we've been there.
Does and I can answer this. Does your book also include photos of Patina Farm?
Yes.
Yes, there are some pictures of Patina Farm in this new book, Patina Homes. But if you're just looking for Patina Farm, there is the book, Patina Farm, and the book, Patina Living. Patina Farm really was about our process of designing and building Patina Farm. Patina Living is kind of like how the gardens have evolved, how we've incorporated the animals, and more about our lifestyle here.
Right. The large sheet of glass used at Patina Farm, is it a single glaze or dual glaze?
The large sheets, that large sheet in that picture was dual glazed. Okay. And it's all just hidden in the plaster. It's all just buried in the plaster. So you can't see any of the seams or anything like that.
So clean, wow.
Yeah.
We have someone, Susan, who says, beautiful presentation. It is beautiful.
Oh.
My questions for Steve: how many architectural commissions do you accept per year, and are you booked for many years forward? Thank you.
No, I mean, we usually don't book too much in the future. If people usually want their houses when they want their houses.
Yeah.
So we may do 10 projects a year or have 10 going at once. That's or something like that.
10 to 15, especially because we are very small little boutique.
Well, that was my
firm.
question. That was my question. I mean, I don't know if you mind me asking, but like, do you have? Both of you are very hands-on. So do you have a big team? How do you handle all that work?
I found that I have to design everything and have to be there at the site.
Control freak.
Yeah, control freak. So I basically am designing it all. Yeah. And I found that I can draw it really fast. And then we turn them into the 3D models, and that generates all the working drawings for the house. But I have three architects on my end who help turn these drawings into models and build this stuff. And Brooke has about 3 designers who help.
Do they come to your house? I mean, do you work out of your
Right now, we do a lot of Zuma.
Oh, right.
And
Right,
a lot
COVID.
of Zoom, and we do not have an office anymore. We closed our office last September in Santa Barbara, and now everybody is actually pretty happy working from home. And then, occasionally they'll come here to have a meeting. Occasionally we'll have a client come up here, but we go to job sites and do meetings there for the most
That
part.
makes sense. I mean,
Yeah, it's much better.
but now that Zoom, I mean, we are finding new ways of doing things that are, more efficient and.
It is really more efficient. Yeah.
And it's just better.
Yeah.
It's better than in-person meetings a lot of time.
Yeah. Decor is always so interesting to me. Do you have tried and true sources, and how do you find new sources for decorating?
I think we do have a lot of tried and true sources. We do a lot of kind of antique shopping that, we actually love going to Atlanta and places like that. Atlanta has
Scott.
Atlanta probably has the best antique stores ever. And,
Thank you.
and we'll import stuff from Europe as well. And, Circa Lighting is actually one of our big, lighting. A lot of our lighting is from there. That's always where we start for sure. So we do have some, vendors that are tried and true, that once you find a vendor that's great, we try to stick with that,
But you also have your own design. I mean, you have your own lines.
We do as well. We've made some upholstered pieces, and we do import Swedish antiques, and we have we moved our store from Santa Barbara to here. We built a little thing we call Patina Studio here, and we have a lot of our antiques here, and Carrie, and our clothing. Our son Charlie makes a lot of all of our Giannetti home clothing, and so we have that here as well.
That's fabulous. Okay, we have a time for a few more questions. They said we could be 5 minutes over, so that's what we'll be. So I'll just keep on asking questions until we're there. Let's see, are the plaster decorations from Steve's family still produced and available for purchase? Great question.
We have some on our Giannetti home website, but the studio got closed down and everything got emptied out.
Yes.
So it doesn't exist anymore.
No more.
So the only pieces we have a few pieces on the website, but that's the only place you'll find them.
Or you can contact Carrie. There are a couple that aren't on the website, but
yeah, if you're looking for a couple of things, we have them in the studio.
Yes.
But did you keep them? I mean, did I hear that right? Did you keep the mold, some of the molds to your favorite?
I kept some of. I collected a whole bunch of the pieces and brought it home when I knew he was going to shut it down. But they sent those pictures that you saw of all those things on those.
Is that
shelves.
the last day, or?
I was like, it was not very far from the last day.
No.
So, and then it just got completely emptied out.
No.
And
it's amazing that it lasted. It was there for that long.
Yeah, it is actually.
Yeah. But what's kind of sweet is that our son Nick went back east and wanted some of the pieces and had them shipped. Had them shipped to LA. He lives with our other son Charlie, and they put a bunch of the plaster up there. So it's kind of nice to see that it lives on, as well as we've sold a lot of the pieces and we've put them in clients' houses. So little parts of Giannetti studio
are all over the place.
Right. Yeah. I love that. Most of your homes appear to be in warm climates. Would your process and approach change in a location with hard winters? Color, window sizes? Well, you did the one in Connecticut, so.
Yeah, we did the one in Connecticut.
And Maine.
We did the house in Maine. It's a little bit tricky. We still like the large windows with all their high performance glass. You can really do the big windows. And it's actually, when it's cold like that, it's even more important to get the light in, to capture south light, to make the rooms kind of skinny. Because you really want to connect with the outside. We're doing one now in Jackson, Wyoming, with the view of the Tetons, and just like inspired by the natural beauty around us and the palette of the mountain.
Isn't it incredible? I lived out there for a while. I mean,
it's just the greatest.
Spectacular. But if you think about how kind of we you always hear about people getting depressed in the winter.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that has to do with a lot of homes aren't really connected to that outdoors, and we're spending more time in outdoors and you're not there, but you know, that's what we try to fix.
Well, let's see, this is an interesting question. I have 3/4 of an acre lot surrounded by 6 neighbors. How would you design a house there in order to get the most light without compromising on privacy? Oh my gosh, that's a hard question.
So
Maybe not for you,
start by-
Steve.
Yeah, start by surrounding put a hedge on the property line. And those are your walls.
Huh.
And then make your house you can have glass sides on your house. You can have big windows in the side of your house that look into these walls. And all of a sudden your house isn't a box in the middle of this field. Your house is indoor and outdoor and goes right to the property line.
Yeah, you have to create landscape buffers, you know, and create your own landscape.
So you can make walls, think of hedges as outdoor walls.
Yeah.
And so I've got a wall right at the property line, and I can have a room between in the side yard of the house.
How,
You know, we see some of the pictures we looked at,
Yeah.
you know,
it had that stairwell with
the stairwell, that
like
hedge
the
was,
green wall.
yeah, the green wall was 10 feet away from that.
Or we've
And
even,
there's a courtyard out there.
yeah, we've even done that with our own house. You know, we live on 5 acres and our neighbors are a little farther away, but like where our bathroom is, our shower is all glass and it looks onto a courtyard. So we created these like kind of indoor courtyards, you know, our own spaces that to have protect our privacy, you know, so you can create those kinds of spaces too, where you might have a room that kind of goes around a little courtyard and
Or the glass, the sandblasted glass, like you were saying. I mean, well,
Yeah,
that
to be able
one
to
brings
get
it in, but if you need the privacy, you could do that.
Yeah, to get light. Yeah, just have to
Exactly.
open up your brain to think about, you know, don't think about I got a house in the middle of a lot and there's 6 neighbors all around. Think I've got a garden, a house in the middle of a garden that can connect to all this stuff.
Right.
Well, I think we've run out of time. There's so many questions. But thank you all for asking those questions. But for those still looking for a personally signed copy of Patina Homes, please go to giannettihome.com. And in closing, well, thank you so much, Circa. Thank you, Gail. I know she's there somewhere. Thank you, Brooke and Steve. In closing, I'd like to thank you all for joining us today. As a reminder, Circa Lighting has professional lighting designers standing by to help you develop the perfect lighting solution for each and every project. Their architectural lighting labs let you experience options in downlighting, cove lighting, and other layers of light, and that will illuminate your design story. If you are unable to visit one of their showrooms, one of our Circa's showrooms, they are ready to serve you virtually. So thank you all so much. This has been so much fun. And
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
it was a blast. Thank
Yeah,
you.
it's really
Thank you,
fun.
Leslie. Thank you, everybody at Circa. Thank you, Milieu Magazine.
Oh.
This was really a lot
really
of fun.
fun.
Thank you so much. All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye.